By golly, it's amazing. It sounds like something you'd hear on the radio.
Presenting the Transcription feature,
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson.
It's 8:30 New York time. Time to wake up, America, and stump the expert.
From Hollywood, it's time now for Johnny Dollar.
Kraft presents The Great Gildersleeve.
And now meet Dick Calmer as Boston Blackie.
It's the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show, presented transcribed by the makers of Rexall Drug Products.
And now it's time to meet the men from the ministry.
The Armed Forces Radio and Television Service presents the Bob Hope Show with Les Brown and his band of renown. And yours truly, Bill Goodwin. And now here he is, Bob Hope.
Greetings, I'm Kevin Lauderdale. Forecast was a radio show specifically designed to try out new radio shows, a pilot clearinghouse, if you will. It ran on CBS Radio from July of 1940 until September of 1941. Both Suspense and Duffy's Tavern got their starts there. Tonight we present a pilot for a show I would have absolutely loved to have gone to series, but alas it did not. Leave It To Jeeves was inspired by the P.G. Wodehouse tales of young man-about-town Bertie Wooster and his personal gentleman's gentleman Jeeves. In a better world, the series would have ran for years, but no. Starring Everett Horton, who at age 54 was a bit old to be playing Bertie, but we'll let that pass, and Alan Mobray, who seemed to be always playing butlers, this particular pilot tale doesn't actually adapt any of the Wodehouse adventures, but it does take on the same structure and pay homage to the sort of situations in which Bertie and Jeeves were always finding themselves. Engagements, errands for aunts. Any Wodehouse fan will be at home in this comic, twisty adventure. Just one note, Sonny Boy, a rather sentimental 1928 song sung by a father to his son, was a huge hit and actually plays a part in a couple of Wodehouse's original Jeeves and Wooster tales. From August 12th, 1940, the series Forecast, this episode, Leave It To Jeeves.
CBS in Hollywood presents, as the sample program in the Forecast series, Edward Everett Horton in Leave It To Jeeves, with Alan Mobray, adapted for radio from the comedy masterpieces by P.G. Wodehouse. For admission to the immortal company of great comic characters in the literature of the world, from Falstaff and Sancho Panza through Huckleberry Finn and the Connecticut Yankee to Ferdinand the Bull, we respectively submit the names of Bertie Wooster, gentleman at large, and his gentleman's gentleman, Jeeves. And to create those good companions in the gentle, whimsical Wodehouse manner, we bring to our Forecast microphone two superbly well-suited comedians. No better Bertie than Edward Everett Horton could possibly be found, say we. No better Jeeves than Alan Mobray. The imperturbable Mr. Mobray has stolen many a movie with his suave skill. His Jeeves, we know, will delight each follower of that remarkable manservant. Mr. Horton, all of you know very well indeed, as well as most of you know Wooster. There's no doubt about it, he's the perfect Bertie. Am I right, Mr. Horton?
Oh, absolutely, of course, certainly, yes. Are you right about what?
Oh, never mind. I'm sure that if Mr. P.G. Wodehouse were here, he'd agree.
Wodehouse?
What was that again?
Wodehouse, that's how it's pronounced. You see, I've been making a considerable study of English names and their pronunciation. Why, you've no idea how they spell Chumley. It's C-H-O-L, C-H-A...
Mr. Horton.
C-H-O-C-U... well, as a matter of fact, I've no idea how they spell.
Well, look, Mr. Horton, just for the moment, let's concern ourselves with these simple facts. You are Bertie Wooster, a wealthy young Englishman traveling in America. Alan Mobray is Jeeves, your faithful valet. And you're...
You know, that's odd. I've just been reading a story about those very characters. I have the book here right with me. Where did I put it? Where's the book? Here, listen, here's how it starts. It was the usual bright and early when I emerged from the deep and dreamless on the third day of my visit to New York. You see, it's written as though Bertie is telling
I understand that, but look, Mr. Horton...
Wait. And he continues. Being known to my pals as the athletic Wooster, naturally, my one and only thought was to leap out of bed into my muscle-building exercises. The old 1, 2, 3, 4. However, I managed to lie perfectly still until that thought faded. Then I pursued the wiser and the more conservative plan of calling Jeeves. Jeeves!
Yes, sir? Good morning, Mr. Wooster.
Jeeves, the situation plainly indicates tea. Where is my tea, to say nothing of the cup and saucer and the usual plate of eggs and bee?
I beg your pardon, but the young gentleman who slept on the living room settee last night, he took your breakfast tray, sir.
Oh, well, that's different. For a moment, Jeeves, just for the moment. What's all this about some blighter bounding about with my breakfast tray?
He gave me to understand that he was an invited guest, sir. He was wearing a silk hat and part of our second-best pair of pajamas.
Invited? Why, what a rummy thing, Jeeves. I don't remember inviting anybody. What's he like?
He's rather a blonde young gentleman, sir, about 28 or 29.
Bingo!
I beg your pardon, sir. Has somebody won something?
No, Jeeves, what do you mean? I mean, our guest is Bingo Little, one of my oldest and dearest. Oh, it all comes back to me now. I met him last night at the Stork Club, mopping up zombies.
Zombies, sir?
It's an American aperitif. It's a sort of a cocktail or something. It makes you forget all your troubles.
Really? Well, if I may say so, they haven't made Mr. Little forget his, because he's in a very low mood indeed.
Oh, dear. Out of sorts, eh?
That would be putting it mildly, sir.
Lower than a snake's tail, to coin a phrase?
Much lower, sir.
Well, Jeeves, if you'll keep Mr. Little from doing anything desperate while I whip into the steaming tub and the spotless linen, I'll be with him.
Yes, sir.
Climb up on my knees, sonny boy. Oh, no hot water. What is it? Climb up on my knees, sonny boy. Climb up on my knees, sonny boy. Though you're lonely.
More bacon, Mr. Little?
No, thank you. Where's Bertie?
Mr. Wooster is in his shower. He will be with you presently, sir. Is there anything I can do?
There's nothing anybody can do, unless Bertie can lend me a gun so I can shoot myself.
I don't believe that we have a weapon in the place, sir.
Just like Bertie. Always unprepared. I don't suppose you'd care to fetch me a sharp blade from the pantry.
If you will excuse me, sir, I will see, sir.
What ho! Oh, Bingo, my boy, my, how well you look this morning.
You lie, Wooster. I'm a soul in torment, and you stand there and blither at me. What's to be done? That's what I've got to figure out. What's to be done?
Well, I don't know. Why not have some more bacon? Oh, I see you've had it all. Oh, why, well, some more toast.
I'm in trouble, I tell you. Don't you remember anything about last night?
Last night? Oh, well, let me see. The zombies?
No. What I told you. The thing I was drinking to forget.
Oh, yes. But I've forgotten what we were forgetting.
Listen, I'm madly in love with Angela. I've been in love with Angela for years and years. You know that.
Righto. It's common gossip around the clubs.
Well, a month ago we quarreled. The big explosion. Parted forever and ever. So I barged over here to forget.
Oh, the old dawn begins to... You got some sort of a cablegram, didn't you?
Yes. Came yesterday. All is forgiven. She's holding out the welcoming arms.
Then go, my boy, go. Plow the ocean back to your beloved.
But I can't, Bertie. There's a certain matter of...
I'll carry through on your unfinished business, so...
But don't you remember? I'm engaged to a certain Gloria Latour.
Well, that's all right, old man. I'll handle any and every... Engaged? Oh, my word. Oh, you've got to be careful. Bingo, you've got to be careful. That sort of thing leads to bigamy. And from bigamy, it's just a short step into trigonometry. Oh, my word. Bingo, is she the Gloria? Is she the Gloria who sings or dances or something?
Right. But she's not that kind of a girl. Lives a quiet, sheltered life with her mother in a theatrical boarding house. Great old girl, the mother. I think she's taken quite a fancy to me. Because everywhere we go, she toddles along.
Oh, I'll bet you three would have had a wonderful honeymoon, too.
Yes. But now, Bertie, if I jilt Gloria, I'm afraid she'll kill herself.
Oh, not really. Has that been her usual custom?
Well, not up to now. Then there's the remote possibility of a breach of promise suit.
Oh, no, we can't let that happen. If Gloria sues you for breach of promise, Angela will hear about it, and then she'll sue you for breach of promise, and the first thing you know, you're in a rut.
I'm in one already.
Oh, buck up, Ringer, my lad, buck up. All is not lost that glitters. Love will find a way.
No, it's too late. I've lost Angela forever.
Nonsense, Bingo. Have no fear. Bertram and Jeeves will take care of all eventualities on this front. You leap aboard the first boat back to Angela. And I give you the Wooster oath that Miss Gloria Latour will never scuttle your ship of matrimony. Oh, I say, wasn't that kind of neat, huh? Never scuttle your ship of matrimony.
Bertie!
Huh?
You're a pal.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, old boy.
Must come home and be my best man.
Oh, thank you.
Goodbye again.
Goodbye again, yes. Well. Oh, dear. Jeeves.
Coming, sir.
Climb up on my knees, sonny boy.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Jeeves, Mr. Little has gone. What I mean, he has left. Brimming with happiness.
Really? From what he told me while he was eating your breakfast, I thought his problem a rather difficult one, sir.
Perhaps, Jeeves, for some type of minds, but we'll take care of it, won't we?
Will we, sir?
Now, don't tell me, Jeeves, that nothing suggests itself.
Nothing, sir.
Jeeves, you're not being difficult again about those yellow spats, are you? The man said they brought out my personality.
I cannot conceal from you, sir, that the spats are at variance with accepted taste. Eccentricity in dress, sir,
Now,
is...
Jeeves, we'll have no more of this. I am not going to be don't tell me, what's the word?
Reactionary, sir?
That's it, yes. I like those yellow spats. I purchased those yellow spats, and I'm going to wear those yellow spats, Jeeves, constantly.
Yes, sir. Is there anything else?
No, there is not. And, Jeeves, much as it pains me, I can't help feeling that you are losing the old grip. Not just about spats, but about everything. Therefore, I think I'll handle this thing myself. A brief call on Miss Gloria Latour, a few words of fatherly wisdom in her shell-pink ear, and all will be well.
Will it, sir?
Oh, it can't fail, Jeeves, because I have an idea. Wooster, the diplomat, that's what they'll be calling me. Open covenants, openly arrived at. I'm off now to keep Bingo's date with Miss Latour.
Yes, sir, and if I may say so, sir.
Yes, Steve?
I was only going to suggest that as the young lady lives well uptown, you might stop on your way and leave Mrs. Spencer Gregson's star sapphire ring at Tiffany's. That was one of the errands upon which we came to New York.
And Agatha's star sapphire? Was it? Oh, yes, of course, the silly prongs. They don't prong or something, isn't it? Will you wrap the bauble up, will you?
I've already done so, sir, and here it is.
Oh, thank you, Jeeves. I'll drop it off on my way up Fifth Avenue. You know, Jeeves, it's a very delicate affair, prying Bingo out of his entanglements. But I shall have no difficulty. Oh, the fighting spirit of the Woosters. It just beats in the old pulse. Everything is wrapped round with the burlap sacking.
You mean in the bag, sir?
Oh, yes, of course. That's what I do mean. Right, yes.
Yes, sir. Your hat and stick, sir.
Where? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jeeves. Pip, pip. I freely admit that the Wooster finesse has at times been widely criticized, but in the case of Gloria Latour, I displayed the subtle craftiness of the wolf. Or was it the lynx? Or the zebra? Well, whatever animal I resembled, I was definitely above the Wooster mental average. When I finally led up to the subject of Bingo's flight, Miss Latour became so broken-hearted, she wanted only to slip off on a shopping tour through Saks, grab a light 6-course snack at the Ritz, Netherlands, and then slink away to front-row seats at a musical. It was, I believe, pushing close on to midnight when I finally pushed the blighted female into a taxicab. As we settled back on the plush, I tried to think of something really significant to say, and at last I hit upon a very crafty... Well, Miss Latour?
Oh, but don't call me Miss Latour, you dear boy. It's Gloria, after the wonderful day we've had together. Oh, driver, go through the park. It's Father.
Is it? Oh. Well, the longest way round is the longest way home. No, I haven't got that right, have I? No, that isn't it. Wait, no, I'll get it in a minute.
Does it matter? Look at the lights.
Where?
Times Square at night.
Oh.
The busiest, loneliest, unhappiest place in the world.
Oh, but really, you're not unhappy, are you? Not after I explained about Bingo, his having to rush off like that and sending me in his place and all that?
No, Bertie, you've been so sweet. I'm not unhappy. I'm just numb.
No, you're not. I've never heard that.
I said numb.
Oh.
Frozen almost.
Oh, but look here. I told you that Bingo really isn't the right sort of person for you at all. He's a prince of a chap, but what a girl like you needs is somebody of a different type entirely. More of a man of the world. Somebody who knows his way around.
My Bertie.
Yes, that's right, you see. Besides, there was something Bingo didn't tell you. I hate to mention it, but...
Go on.
Well, it's not the sort of thing that a fellow likes to tell about a fellow, especially if the fellow is a fellow's boyhood chum and all that.
Whatever in the world are you talking about?
Well, it's like this. Bingo Little doesn't like it known, but...
Well?
He hasn't an earthly. I mean, it's the matter of the jolly old needful.
You mean money?
Righto.
Oh, I don't believe it. Why, he's always bought me champagne as if it was ginger ale.
Well, that's Bingo. That's Bingo to the T, the bon vivant, the life of the party, the ready spender while the last pounds, shillings, and pence held out. But now, They've gone.
Really? Oh, but it doesn't seem...
I know. It's hard to believe, isn't it? Bingo has lived on his borrowings for the past year.
Borrowing?
Yes, from me, mostly. That's how I know. Oh, he makes a bit from playing the horses now and then, and he has a neat turn of the wrist at cards, but all in all, good old Bingo has had a very thin time of it.
Oh.
What are you doing? What's the matter? Oh, my word, you're not going to cry or anything like that, are you?
Of course not.
Oh, yeah.
But to think of him going off by himself, all alone. He may need me.
No, Gloria, no. He does not need you. Bingo is a self-sufficient chap if there ever was one. Lots of other people need you much more. Why, a girl with your hair and your eyes and stuff. Why...
Oh, you're just saying that to make me feel better.
No, absolutely not. No, honor bright.
Oh, Bertie, will you do something for me?
Anything at all.
Will you let me cry on your shoulder? Just until we get to my door.
Why, of course. Why, here it is, yes. No, not there. No, it's too rough. There. Now cry away. Never let it be said that a Wooster turned a cold shoulder to the wheel. Or whatever it is. Oh, Jeeves. Oh, I didn't expect you to wait up for me.
No trouble at all, sir. Could I get you a cup of coffee?
Yes, please, Jeeves. And would you lace it with brandy? Now, on second thoughts, bring me a cup of brandy and lace it with coffee.
I've already prepared it, sir. Here you are, sir.
Thank you. Jeeves, you see before you a ruined man.
Really, sir? I take it then that your plan to free Mr. Little from his involvements with the young lady was unsuccessful.
Oh, it was successful enough. It was too successful. I feel like the man who went hunting doves and met a tiger.
Really, sir?
Jeeves, I'm not sure, but I think I'm engaged to be married. I said I think I'm engaged to be married.
I heard you, sir. The shock was a considerable one. May I offer my congratulations?
You may not. And this is no time to stand there nodding and smiling. Something must be done.
I understand, sir. Is the young lady in question the same young person who was attached to Mr. Little?
Who else? And I was only trying to make her forget Bingo. She started crying, and then she took me upstairs to meet her mother, a gracious little old white-haired lady with a cold and fishy eye. And finally we were left alone again, and one thing led to another, and everything that I said was taken the wrong way.
I think I see the gravity of the situation. Miss Latour mistook your sympathy for a stronger emotion.
Very aptly put, Jeeves.
You caught the young lady on the rebound, so to speak.
Did I? Oh, of course. Yes, exactly. On the rebound, yes. Well, now what's to be done about it?
I fear I have no plan which I could advance with any confidence on the spur of the moment.
Well, strain the brain.
Quite, sir. Of course, there is always the expedient of a lightning departure for parts unknown. I could pack at once.
A flight in the night, you mean?
Exactly, sir.
Oh, magnificent, Jeeves. Oh, no, we can't go.
Why not, sir? This understanding with the young lady, it can't be taken as binding. After all, you have not written her any letters or given her an engagement ring.
Correction, Jeeves.
I beg your pardon.
Oh, my. In the cold grey light of sober second thought, the whole affair seems fairly fantastic to me. But you remember Aunt Agatha's star sapphire ring?
The one that you were taking to Tiffany's, sir?
I was, but I didn't. I had it with me, and after Miss Latour and I got confidential, she asked me what I had in that little package, and some evil genius persuaded me to show it to her. What does she do but slip it on the right finger of her left hand, and...
Well, you explained that it was the property of your aunt, Mrs. Spencer Gregson.
I meant to, Jeeves, I meant to, but things were moving a bit too fast for me at the moment. Miss Latour has very large blue eyes, and when she cries...
Yes, I quite understand, sir. The situation is even more desperate than I thought.
But you will apply the little grey cells, Jeeves? I can trust you to rally round like the stout fellow you are in this my darkest hour of need?
I shall endeavor to do my best, sir. Perhaps an idea will come to me during the night. When do you see Miss Latour next, sir?
Tomorrow. You see, I asked her to bring her mother here for lunch at 1.
Here, sir? At 1 tomorrow?
Yes, well, that gives you plenty of time to think of something. Jeeves, possibly some undetectable poison deftly inserted in the chicken patty?
No.
Oh, dear. The usual blunt instrument?
Inadvisable, sir.
Oh, I was afraid you'd think so. A bit drastic, eh?
Not drastic enough, sir.
Oh, well. Well, good night, Jeeves.
Good night, sir, and pleasant dreams.
Jeeves, what you just heard is a hollow laugh. the laugh of a lost soul. You know, Jeeves, even if I have nightmares tonight, it'll be a change for the better. As I bunged the fevered brow into the downy pillow, I kept saying to myself, little man, what now? But I soon realized I was talking to the little man who wasn't there. At least the man who wasn't all there. And what of Jeeves? Why had Jeeves no ready plan? Where was the ancient subterfuge, the deft touch? Was the Wooster at last doomed? As I rolled and tossed, I desperately tried to count sheep leaping over the fence. No, but it was no use. I just kept falling asleep. So I surrendered to the Sandman until I was rudely awakened by somebody shouting. It was I calling Jeeves. Jeeves!
Yes, sir?
It's morning, Jeeves.
Hardly, sir. The time is 12:15 Pipema.
And you let me wallow here in the deep and dreamless half the day? Jeeves, you know at times you puzzle me.
Yes, sir. I thought it best not to call you at the regular hour under the circumstances.
Under what? Oh, Jeeves. Oh, my word. In less than an hour, that damsel and her mother are supposed to come barging in for lunch. Oh, dear. Jeeves, have you any ideas?
Yes, sir. I have made preparations. A nice fillet of sole marguerite and pansies for the centerpiece.
Oh, no, I don't care about lunch. And what about me? Are you going to leave me a writhing, shuddering victim on the altar of matrimony? Oh, no matter what slight disagreements you and I may have had in the past over a pair of spats or a necktie, you aren't going to abandon me now, are you? Oh, Jeevesy.
I have been giving some thought to the problem. Burning the midnight oil, sir. As the poet Tennyson so aptly puts it, 'tis better to have loved than to have lost.
Another time, Jeeves.
Yes, sir.
Have you a plan?
Not exactly, sir, but I have taken certain precautions. While you were asleep this morning, I slipped out and made a few purchases. But time will tell.
A ray of hope, then?
Most decidedly, sir. And now, if you'll excuse me, I shall see to your wardrobe for today. Shall I lay out the yellow spats again, sir?
Of course. The yellow spats.
Very well, sir.
On second thought, Jeeves, no. No yellow spats today.
Oh, thank you, sir. Your bath is ready.
Once in the steaming tub, I launched into the traditional, climb up on my knee, sonny boy. Climb up on my knees. Climb up on my knee. But it was soon evident that Sonny Boy was not up to the old climb. Kept falling back on his quarter notes. Oh, and this was an evil omen. When the pride of the Woosters rings false on Sonny Boy in the bath, all is not well. And I knew that all definitely was not well when I entered the dining room a few minutes later and detected a certain ominous note in Jeeves' voice as he said,
Do you approve of the table decoration, sir? I took the liberty of ordering a gardenia corsage for each of the ladies.
Oh, yes, very thoughtful, Jeeves. Excellent taste, of course. It indicates... Now, listen here, Jeeves. You're not double-crossing me, are you? You're not trying to get me permanently mixed up into this,
I hope to muddle through somehow, sir. At the present moment, my plan of operations is too tenuous to discuss.
Well, that's just it. How can I rally round if I don't know what Machiavellian plot is in your mind?
And perhaps it will be just as well, sir, if the whole thing comes as a surprise to you.
I don't see that at all. I do not... Look, Jeeves. Look, is that clock right?
2 1/4 minutes slow, sir.
Don't quibble so, don't quibble. It's after 1 now, isn't it? Any minute they'll be barging in.
Yes, sir. It is the 0 hour.
Jeeves, Oh.
Mr. Wooster's apartment. Are you there? Oh, yes. Ask the ladies to come up at once, please.
Jeeves, I can't face them. I simply can't do it. Oh, if I could only dive behind that settee.
Perhaps that would be for the best, sir.
You mean it, Jeeves?
Absolutely, sir. For a time at least, I shall endeavor to cope with the situation alone. May I give you a hand, sir?
No, I can move it myself. There we are.
Comfortable, sir?
Moderately, Jeeves, just moderately, but much safer. You barge ahead, Jeeves, and the blessing of the Wooster goes with you.
Is this Bertie Wooster's apartment? He's expecting us.
Oh, please come in, Mrs. Latour. Miss Latour, may I have your wrap, madam?
No, thank you. I think I'll keep it on.
Very well, madam. Will you sit down? May I offer you a cigarette?
No. Where's Mr. Wooster?
Well, Mr. Wooster may be anywhere, miss. He is uncertain in his movements.
Uncertain? Just what do you mean by that?
Just Uncertain, madam.
But he was expecting us for luncheon.
Oh, yes, miss. He will be with us shortly. It was his wish that you accept these little bouquets as a symbol of his happiness.
Look, baby, how thoughtful, gardenia.
Uh-huh. I love the smell. Why, they smell funny. Like cloves.
Oh, yes, miss. Mr. Wooster always has oil of cloves sprinkled on flowers. To counteract the usual scent.
Yes, but oil of cloves.
But why does he do that?
Oh, these eccentric millionaires, baby.
Quite, madam. Sometimes Mr. Wooster's motives are hard to follow. Shall I serve luncheon now?
No, wait. Can't you find Mr. Wooster? Haven't you any idea where he might be?
Well, now, let me see, miss. He sometimes hides in the broom closet.
He does? Why?
I have no idea, madam. And then, of course, there is always the space back of the settee. A favorite lair of his, I believe.
Say, is this a gag? Why should he want to go there?
It is one of Mr. Wooster's chief peculiarities, miss. Excuse me while I take a look. Mr. Wooster, come out wherever you are. Luncheon is served.
Oh, really? Mr. Wooster.
Bertie!
Oh, hello, everybody.
What in the world are you doing back there? Mercy, you're all cobwebby.
Do I? I mean, am I?
How do you do, Mr. Wooster?
Yes, ma'am, yes. And again, no, well, the old reunion, what? Yes. Jeeves, how about a spot of lunch or something?
Luncheon is being served, sir.
Is it? Where? Oh, look, right here, yes. Do sit down. You sit down there, Mrs. Latour.
Bertie.
Just sit down, yes.
I still don't see why you had to go playing practical jokes.
Baby never liked practical jokes on wise guys. And I find them quite silly.
Well, really? Well, you see, it wasn't exactly a practical joke. I simply felt like taking a bit of a nap behind the settee. I like hiding behind the settee.
Oh, but why in the world would you...
Excuse me, madam, but Mr. Wooster was frightened by an infuriated chicken at the age of 3. And as a result, he is addicted to somewhat unusual habits. Fish, madam.
What? Oh, thank you.
Oh, Bertie, darling.
Yes? Yes?
The ring you gave me, my lovely star sapphire, it has a loose prong.
Huh? Oh, has it?
So I'm going to have to drop it off at Tiffany's on my way home and have it tightened.
Oh, splendid idea.
Well, excuse me, sir, but is it really necessary? Would it not be simpler for the young lady to take another ring from among these?
Good heavens, look at the rings.
Oh, I didn't know there were that many star sapphires in the world, Mr. Wooster. Bertie, you must have a sapphire mine.
Yes, there's just hundreds, at least a dozen. By the way, Jeeves, where do we get our sapphires?
At the 5 and 10, sir. By the gross.
Oh, do we? Oh, yes, of course, that's right. Yes, at the 5 and 10.
Perfect imitation, aren't they, madam?
Yes, quite perfect.
But, Bertie, I don't understand. I thought...
Yes, I imagine you did. I mean, Jeeves.
Yes, sir?
Mrs. Latour would like some more of the fish, Jeeves.
Coming, sir.
No, thank you. I don't care for fish. I don't even care for the smell of fish.
Mother.
Quiet, baby. Mr. Wooster, this don't look good to me. I want you to strictly understand that if you think...
Mother, look!
What? Oh, what's that man bringing in? I didn't know it was anybody's birthday.
A wedding cake, madam, in preview form.
Oh, Jeeves.
In honor of the glad news, and may I be among the first to congratulate the happy couple?
But, Jeeves.
Well, thank you, Mr. Jeeves, but
Would you care to cut the cake, miss?
But, Jeeves.
What pretty icing.
Thank you, miss. It will make Mr. Wooster's family very happy to have someone else take over the job of caring for him.
Caring for him?
Yes, madam.
But aren't you? I mean, what...
Well, as Mr. Wooster's companion, I might almost say his keeper, miss. I must say that I look forward to laying aside the burden.
Now, listen, Jeeves, this is a bit... I mean to say, you can't go about saying
There's been plenty said already.
Well, if you'll excuse me, there's another matter. Miss Latour, when the plans for the honeymoon cottage are drawn, it is advisable that one room be set aside for Mr. Wooster's personal use.
For his personal use?
Yes, miss, and the walls must be heavily P-A-D-D-E-D.
What?
P-A-D-D-E-D, miss.
Oh.
We always spell out words of that nature to save Mr. Wooster's feelings. I would suggest covering the wall with a nice red morocco.
Mother, did you hear that? A pad itself!
Jeeves, are you going to tell...
Yes, sir. I was just about to tell the young lady there's nothing to worry about except at the full of the moon. At all other times, he is very amiable and easily controlled, aren't you, sir?
Oh, thank you, Jeeves. What?
Quite so, sir. And now, if you'll excuse me, I think I hear someone at the back door. I fancy it's the tailor's man.
What tailor's man?
With your new straitjacket, sir. For a fitting. I'll bring it in.
Oh, no, you don't. You're not going to leave Baby and me here alone with this lunatic.
Mother, hadn't we better get out?
Yes, you bet your life we'd better. Come on, baby, let's get out of here alive. That's all I ask.
All right, I'm coming. Here, Mr. Wooster, you can take your old ring back to the 5 and 10, and maybe they'll exchange it for a toy flute or something. Goodbye.
Well, Jeeves.
Well, sir?
What a time, eh? If you know what I mean. What a time.
Exactly, sir. It would appear that the engagement is broken, sir.
And one of your best efforts, Jeeves. For a moment or two, you had me worried. I thought you were trying to further the nuptials.
Oh, just a smokescreen, sir. Certain people are constituted that they are suspicious of anything that you urge upon them.
Spoken like the philosopher you are, Jeeves. By the way, that knock that you thought you heard at the back door, that wasn't really...
subterfuge, sir. There was, of course, no question of a real straitjacket.
Oh, glad to hear it.
Will that be all, sir? I thought I might take Mrs. Gregson's ring up to Tiffany's for the necessary repair work, to make sure that no further misadventure occurs.
I would appreciate it. And, Jeeves.
What is it, sir?
You may take those yellow spats of mine and drop them into an ash can on your way up the street.
Oh, thank you, sir. You make me very happy.
But the longing of Bertie for such sartorial iniquities as yellow spats and his capacity for getting into terrible scrapes is, as millions of you well know, without limit. This program was merely a sample of what Leave It to Jeeves would be like as a series. Eventually, we hope these Wodehouse characters will reach the air as a regular weekly presentation. To appear in tonight's sample broadcast, and because of his enthusiasm for the Wodehouse characterization for radio, Edward Everett Horton flew to Hollywood several days ago from Brighton Beach, New York, where he's starring in the stage play Springtime for Henry. Performance tomorrow evening as usual. And our thanks to him for his 7,000-mile flight in the cause of good radio entertainment. Our cast sheet for tonight read as follows. Edward Everett Horton as Bertie Wooster, Alan Mobray as Jeeves, Helen Wood as Gloria Latour, Myra March as Mrs. Latour, and Donald Morrison as Bingo. Your musical conductor was Wilbur Hatch, your adapter of script, Stuart Palmer, your director of production, Kenneth Niles. Next week at this hour, Forecast presents from New York a show entitled Back Where I Come From, with Clifton Fetterman presiding over a meeting devoted to musical, vocal, and conversational Americana. From Hollywood and New York, Charles Lawton and Elsa Lanchester, Edna Best, Richard Wharf, and Roy Atwell in double feature. Listen to Forecast next Monday. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Next up is another episode of that great science fiction anthology series, X-1. This is an adaptation of another classic tale by science fiction master Murray Leinster, originally published in the May 1955 issue of Galaxy Science Fiction. Time travel via phone conversations is the theme of this story. Sam, this is you. A lot of notes. The post-war boom in construction and population meant there was a shortage of telephones and phone numbers, etc., as everybody wanted their own house with their own phone and number. This wasn't really fixed until the late 1950s, early 1960s. A lot of people had to share the same phone line. These were called party lines. This episode is packed with lots of 1950s TV and film references. Jane Mansfield and Diana Dors, D-O-R-S, and Esther Williams were curvy, pretty actresses. What's My Line was a TV game show where celebrity panelists, including newspaper columnist Dorothy Kilgallen, had to guess a contestant's line of work. $1 Million Movie was a TV show that ran on New York's Channel 9, WOR, in the 1950s into the 60s. It broadcast the same old movie twice a day, all week. If you didn't love it, you learned to love it. Tennessee Senator Estes Kefauver held televised investigations into organized crime. Steve Allen was the first host of The Tonight Show. And Don Larson was a baseball pitcher who pitched the only perfect game, that's where no batters reach base, in World Series history. This was Game 5 of the 1956 World Series. Larson was with the New York Yankees against the Brooklyn Dodgers. From October 31st, 1956, X-1. This episode, Sam, this is you.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire.
From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, Sam, This Is You, by Murray Leinster.
If I were you, I wouldn't believe a word of this story. I'm still not sure if Rosie does, and as a matter of fact, I'm not so sure if I do myself. And that's going some, because it happened to me. And if I can't believe it, well, who can? I suppose it could have happened to anybody, although, on the other hand, maybe it couldn't have happened to nobody. And that's pretty mixed up, so maybe I'd better begin at the beginning. And in this case, that's not so easy as it sounds. For one thing, there's the question of where is the beginning? Well, anyways, I'm Sam Yoder. I'm a telephone lineman for the Batesville and Rappahannock Telephone Company. I got into that line of work because I was in a wire platoon during the war. I've been up more trees in the Ardennes forest in Belgium than anybody, except maybe a couple of squirrels, and they didn't have to string telephone wires. I guess it started because Rosie, she was my girl, Rosie, she thought I lacked ambition.
And also get up and go.
Yeah, anytime you say, honey, except it's one of those jitterbug things, and I can't jitter much.
I don't mean dance. I mean stick-to-itiveness.
Now, honey, that's ridiculous. A telephone lineman has more stick-to-itiveness than anybody, or he'd fall right off the pole.
Huh?
Want another drink?
Sam, are you trying to get me drunk?
No. Well, only there's a $3.50 minimum in this place, and I hate to see it go to waste.
I'm discussing your future, Sam.
Okay.
Do you think a telephone lineman's life is right for you?
Well, has its ups and downs.
Sam.
I'm sorry.
I warned you once more, and I'm going to ask you to take me home, even with a $3.50 minimum unexpired.
Yeah, okay, honey.
Now, what are you doing to improve yourself?
Nothing, I guess.
Why don't you take one of those correspondence courses? You know, the ones with a picture of Arthur Godfrey, and he says, I was awful in high school arithmetic till I sent in the coupon.
What does he need with high school arithmetic?
It's the principle of the thing. Sam, I'd hate to think I was engaged to a man who didn't improve himself.
Well, I'll figure something out, honey.
You don't want to spend all your life with your arms around a pole?
Well, it was all right with George Sand.
Is he working at the company now?
No. George Sand. She was in Yeah, sure, honey. It was a pen name. You see, she was in love with Chopin. You get it?
No.
Well, he was a pole, you see? Arms around a pole. You get it now?
Yes. Now I get it. Sam, take me home immediately.
She's like that. No sense of humor, know what I mean? But listen, when you climb up and down telephone poles all day, you get tired of something that's straight up and down. Rosie was a refreshing change. You know what I mean? Wow. But she had something. I mean, in the conversation. So I started taking those electronic courses, you know. I'd been at it a couple of months when I asked Rosie to come down to my basement.
I certainly will not.
Well, why not, baby?
Sam Yoder, I'm a respectable girl.
Honey, if I had anything else in mind, would I ask you to leave a nice, comfortable porch swing to go down to a whitewashed concrete basement?
I guess not.
Okay. Come on. I want you to see something.
What?
It's a big surprise. Right here, over on the bench. Take a look.
Sam Yoder, have you been taking Papa's television set apart again?
No, honey, not...
Last time you got the channels mixed up and all Papa could get was Jane Mansfield. Mama had to finally take the fuse out and hide it.
It's not a television set. It's my invention.
Oh. What does it do?
Well, I got the idea at the shop. I was looking at the blueprints of the multiple circuit stuff. You know, how to send 100 messages over the same wire. Well, I got this idea about how to have private conversations on the party line. Actually, I got the idea calling you up with the whole street listening in.
Does it work?
Well, almost. I got a few bugs in this mess of garbage here.
Sam, that's no way to talk.
Well, honey, all the engineers talk that way, and they're college men with fraternity pins.
Well, then I guess it's all right. When will you have this fixed up?
Oh, I don't know. I'll have to tinker with it a little. It's just like you, honey.
Sam, you do not have to tinker with me.
Honey, I mean electrically like you. High voltage and a lot of current, but too much resistance. You get it, honey? I mean like an electrical circuit. Resistance is...
I get it. Sam, take me home immediately.
I was thinking of my invention on next Friday, July 2nd, about 6 o'clock. I was up a pole near Bridges Run, hunting for a break where the party line went dead. I hooked in my linesman's phone, but I couldn't get central. I was just about to pull my phone and get down when... Hey, that's impossible. The line checked out dead. Hello, who's this?
Sam, this is you.
Huh? What's that?
This is you. You, Sam Yoder. Don't you recognize your own voice? This is you, Sam Yoder, calling from the 12th of July.
Look, Mac, I'm working and I'm 50 feet up.
Don't hang up.
I'm not hanging up, but you'd better. Now, wait a minute. Do I know you? The voice is familiar.
Sam, it's the 2nd of July where you are, and you're up a pole by Bridges Run. The line's dead in 2 places, or else I couldn't talk to you. Lucky, huh?
Whoever you are, it isn't going to be lucky for you.
But I'm you, and you're me. We're both the same Sam Yoder, only where I am, it's July 12th. Where you are, it's July 2nd. You've heard of time traveling? Well, this is time talking. You're talking to yourself. That's me. And I'm talking to myself. That's you. And it looks like we've got mighty good chances to get rich.
Look, I don't believe this.
All right, then listen. Do you remember the time you were out with Rosie at the drive-in movie over at the Wing? And the couple in the convertible next to you were necking. And then Rosie...
Well, never mind what he said. It was something only me and Rosie would know about. Nobody else in the whole world, so I knew he was me. I was he, him. We were the same. He told me what he wanted me to do, and then he told me where the brakes were in the line and hung up. Well, I cut loose down the pole, and my irons only hit it twice from the top to the bottom. I was sweating and shaking a little, and it didn't help any when I found the 2 brakes right where the voice said it would be. But that wasn't any more impossible than anything else. I called into Central and told them I was sick, which wasn't particularly untrue anyway. And then I went home and made myself a cup of coffee, and pretty soon I was muttering to myself, which I don't say now in order to make telling the story easy. But I do it all the time, like this. You got a good cup of coffee here, Sam, old boy. Instant, but strong. Oh, now there isn't any weak-mindedness in my family, and the company psychologist said I grew up stable. Was it inner stable? Well, anyway, nobody but Rosie knows I told her her nose is so cute I couldn't believe she ever had to blow it. Maybe it was me talking to myself. Donut, Sam? Don't mind if I do. I talk to myself just sitting over coffee. Why shouldn't I talk to myself on the telephone? From the middle of next week. on a dead line. I wonder if that psychologist was right. More coffee, Sam? Just a little to hot it up. When? Now, look, if somebody drove over to Rappahannock past Dunsville and telephoned back that there was a brush fire at Dunsville, I wouldn't be surprised to get to Dunsville and find a brush fire there. So, if somebody phones back from next Tuesday that Mr. Broadus has broke his leg next Tuesday, why should I be surprised to get to next Tuesday and find out he'd done it? More coffee, Sam? No, thanks. I couldn't touch another drop. You see what I mean? Pretty soon I began to realize there was money in this thing, and I got to work on my invention, the one I meant to use for private calls on party lines. I got out the soldering iron and a bunch of components I liberated from the phone company, and I started to rearrange the circuits the way that voice on the telephone had told me to. It was a real breadboard job with wires hanging out of it like spaghetti, but finally I was done. I spliced my gadget onto my phone, then I broke the line to Central, rang it, and half a minute later... Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Sam. This is you in the 2nd of July.
You got it all fixed up, huh?
Yeah, it looks awful.
Well, that's okay. You can straighten it out later. Okay, Sam, now we get rich together.
Look, Sam, I want to ask you a few things about this gadget. Now, you know where those 4 transistors are hooked up bridging the...
Look, Sam, you mind if we don't go into that right now?
Yeah, but I want to know if I reverse the leads, will I...
Some other time.
Well, if you're too busy to talk...
I'll tell you. I am kind of busy right now. You'll understand when you get to where I am.
Look, I worked 6 hours on that thing because you said to it.
Don't get mad, Sam. I'll tell you what. You go see Rosie and tell her about this and have a nice evening. Ha-ha.
What do you mean, ha-ha?
You'll find out. Knowing what I know, I'll even double it. Ha-ha. Ha-ha.
I went over to Rosie's house. Her old man was watching Diana Dors on the television, and her mother was watching her old man, so I took Rosie by the hand and led her out onto the porch. I could see the moon glinting off eyeglasses as all the neighbor ladies leaned forward in their porch rockers to watch us. I always felt a responsibility to those ladies, and usually I try to make it worthwhile to them staying up so far past their bedtimes. But tonight, I had other things on my mind.
Sam, you didn't slick down your cowlick. I've told you, if you go on a date without slicking down your cowlick, it shows you have no respect for the girl.
Rosie, forget my cowlick, huh?
I could go inside and get some mustache wax. Pa keeps it because his crew cut always goes limp when the humidity gets above 60%.
Rosie, will you listen to me? I've made up my mind to get rich. You ought to have everything your little heart desires. Now, suppose you tell me just what you want.
I want your cowlick to lie down so I won't be ashamed in front of the neighbors.
No, honey. Mink, chinchilla, a sports car, anything, whatever you want.
Do you feel all right?
Now, listen, honey. Nobody knows it, but tonight Joe Hunt and the widow Backus are eloping to North Carolina to get married. We'll find out about it tomorrow. And day after tomorrow, on the 4th of July, Dunsville is going to win the baseball game with Bradensburg, 7-5, all tied till the 9th inning, and then George Peavy is going to hit a homer with Fred Holmes on second base. There was a brief silence, interrupted only by the sound of Pa's rocker going over as he tried to get a better angle on Diana Dors. I don't know how many times I've explained to him you can't improve on the view on a 2-dimensional TV screen by craning your neck. But he says you can't overcome a lifetime of habit. Well, anyways, I explained to Rosie about Sam in the week after next telling me all these things and how we were going to get rich.
Sam, somebody was playing a joke on you.
Oh, yeah? Well, who else but me knows what you said that time you thought I was mad at you and you were crying down behind McHenry's ice house?
Sam, I told you when I read those words on that board fence, I didn't know what they meant.
And nobody else knows about the time we were picnicking and the bug got down the front of your sunback dress and you thought it was a hornet.
Sam Yoder, you never told anybody about that.
No, but the me in the week after next knew. He told me, so he had to be talking to me. It couldn't be anybody else.
Sam, either you've told somebody else everything we ever said or did, or else there's somebody else who knows. That's awful.
But, honey, it's me.
This other person knows everything we say, Even now?
Sure.
Sam Yoder, you go home.
But, honey...
Do you think I'm going to talk to you when somebody else listens to every word I say and knows everything I do? Do you think I'm going to marry you?
But, Rosie, it's just between the two of us. You, me, and me next week. Rosie. I stayed around till her father came out and asked me to go home so Rosie could finish crying and he could watch Hell's Angels on the Late Show in peace. On the way back to my house, I got madder and madder. Sam, in the week after next, could have warned me about this, the louse. Well, I plugged in my gadget and rang, but I guess there was nobody home on July 12th because there wasn't any answer. And there wasn't any that night when I got home from work either. So I went around to see Rosie.
The only reason I'm talking to you, Sam Yoder, is that Pa's inside sneering at Dorothy Kilgallen on What's My Line, and I don't think it's polite.
You still mad at me?
I never was mad at you. I'm mad at whoever was talking to you on the phone and knows all our private secrets. And I'm mad at you if you told him.
But, honey, I didn't have to tell him. He's me. All he has to do is just remember. I tried to call him again last night and this morning, but he doesn't answer. Maybe he's gone off somewhere.
Do you think it's polite to sneer at Dorothy Kilgallen? She knows so many important people by their first names, lots of them even for short.
You think maybe it's all an illusion?
You told me last night there'd be an elopement, and there was. Joe Hunt and the widow Backus, just like you said.
Well, could have been a coincidence.
I'm waiting to see if Dunsville beats Bradensburg 7-5 tomorrow.
Yeah, I bet $11 on it.
If that happens, I'll die.
Why, honey?
Because it'll mean that I can't marry you, ever. Because somebody else would be looking over your shoulder, and we would never be by ourselves all our lives, day or night.
The next day in the big 4th of July ball game, it was tied in the ninth. Then George Peavy hit a homer with Fred Holmes on second base, and Dunsville beat Bradensburg 7-5. I collected my bet, but the $11 turned to ashes in my mouth. I didn't go over to Rosie's that night. I stayed home and kept trying to call myself up on that gadget that I told myself how to fix up. It was a moonlit night, the kind I usually spend with Rosie while her old man watches the $1 million movie for the 7th time on TV, hoping that the ending will come out different. But there I was in the basement trying to call up the week after next, and nobody home. In the morning, I woke up suddenly. I thought it was the alarm clock, but it wasn't. Hey, I left the gadget on. Oh, wait, don't go away. Wait. Hello? Don't get upset, Sam. Rosie's gonna make up with you. How do you know what she's gonna do? She won't marry me with you hanging around. I've been trying to figure out a way to get rid of you. Quiet, I'm busy. I gotta go collect the money you made for us. You collect money? I get in trouble and you collect money? I have to, or you wouldn't get it. Now listen, where you are, it's Wednesday. You're going over to Dunsville today to fix some phones. You'll be in Mr. Broadus's law office about 10:30. You look out of the window and notice a fella sitting in a car in front of the bank. Notice him good. I won't do it. I won't take orders from you. Maybe you're me, but I make a bet and you collect it. For all I know, you spend it before I get to it. Now, I'm quitting this business right now. It's cost me my girl and my peace of mind and the blazes with it. Okay? Okay, Sam. Just wait and see. The trouble with a story like this when you tell it is there isn't any suspense, like one of those old movies where a gypsy fortune teller tells George Raft he's going to be head gangster and fall in love and finally get shot by his best friend, played by Ralph Bellamy. And then the rest of the picture just goes like a local commuter train following a schedule. Well, sure enough, I was ordered over to Dunsville to fix the phones in Mr. Broadus's office. Well, at 10:30, I happened to look out of the window, and there, sitting in a car with the motor running, was a reddish-haired man. Then suddenly 2 other men come running out of the bank carrying bags. Mr. Harrison, the guard, is shooting at them. And they're shooting back. And the car takes off like a big bird and shoots out of town. And Fred Hale comes tearing after him in the squad car right down Olympia Street. Unfortunately, Mrs. Monroe was turning left into the supermarket parking lot. She happened to be coming from the far right lane. And so the bank robbers got away clean with $35,000. They'd cut all the wires out of town where they crossed Goose Creek, and so they sent me right out to fix it. I was up the pole right next to the creek, working, and, like usual, talking to myself. Sam, do you realize what that was? A bank robbery. You, in the middle of next week, told you to come over here and watch a bank robbery, but you didn't tell yourself what for. You didn't tell yourself to stop it. Sam, that other you is a born crook. Then I realized it wasn't another me. It was me a week and a half later. If he was a born crook, so was I. Nothing could happen in a week and a half to change character like that. I couldn't even turn myself into the cops, because nobody would believe it. I suddenly realized I was an accessory before and after the fact of that bank robbery. And then I realized there was only one thing to do. That night I drove over to Rosie's house. Her father had a jacket and tie on because he was expecting to visit Her Supreme Highness Princess Grace of Monaco and Slapsy Maxie Rosenblum with Ed Morrow face to face. I took Rosie out to the porch just as the princess invited Ed and Rosie's old man into a closet to see her shoes.
Sam, what's the matter? You look awful.
I am awful. Rosie, I come to tell you goodbye. I just found out I'm a criminal, so I'd better go and commit my crimes far away from hearth and friends who would be hurt.
Sam, what's happened now?
That bank robbery. I knew all about it before it happened. I called myself up and told myself, but I didn't let myself stop it. Don't you see? I'm an accessory both ways against the middle. I'm a criminal. So, Rosie, goodbye.
Sam, you sit right down.
Oh, it's in the blood, I guess, or the genes. What do you think in my case it was? Environment rather than heredity.
Now, Sam, you haven't done anything yet. It's that other you.
But I'm going to have done something. I'm doomed to be a criminal.
Well, I'm going to reform you.
What?
I'm going to reform you before you start. I'm going to stay with you from now on, every place you go.
But, Rosie, I climb poles.
I'll wear my tapered slacks. You won't do anything criminal with me along. And if that other you starts talking to you on the telephone, I'm going to climb the pole and tell him where he gets off.
And that's just what she did. Wherever I went, Rosie went right along with me, carrying a 10-inch crescent wrench in case of emergencies, wearing her tapered slacks, which looked real good because, as a matter of fact, the slacks taper just a little more than Rosie does. Well, she made me stay over in her brother who was away in the Marine's room and locked me in at night. It went on that way for a couple of days. Rosie looking grim all day, not even holding hands or playing footy in the diner over coffee. We spent the evenings in her living room while her father watched Meet the Press and asked Nixon and Kefauver questions that they never even answered. I complained to Rosie that we had all the disadvantages of being married a long time without the obvious advantages. But her father told me to keep quiet and stop interrupting Steve Allen. Well, finally, on the 11th of July, we were driving in the phone company truck, Rosie was driving, to make sure I didn't commit anything criminal like crossing the double white line or not stopping for a school bus.
Do you realize tomorrow is the 12th?
Yeah.
That's the day the other you called you up from, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I've kept you honest. If you turn into a hoodlum between now and tomorrow...
Rosie, look out, that car! Now, look what you did.
Is the other man hurt? He's getting out of the car.
Rosie, that hair. Rosie, that's the man who... Get down, he's shooting at us.
Why?
Well, he's the man I saw outside the bank. He's one of the bank robbers. Look out, he's coming this way.
He looks awful mad.
Why not? We smashed his getaway car. Rosie, get behind me. I'll protect you. The fella came up to us holding his gun and looking pretty upset. And he was just about to say something when Rosie reached over my shoulder and hit him on the head with her crescent wrench. I took a length of wire and my pliers, and I had his hand spliced behind his back before he came to. We threw him in the back of the truck and took him into the sheriff at Dunsville. He confessed right away and told where his buddies were hiding out. Rosie locked me up in her brother's room again that night, and then it all came clear to me. In the morning, Rosie came out on the truck with me again, and she was still trying to reform me. I let her come along, but inside I was grinning.
What are you sneering about, Sam?
I'm not sneering, I'm grinning. Rosie, do you realize there's a $5,000 reward for those robbers? And we get it?
Well, I'm still worried about that other you.
Oh. Well, we'll take care of that right now.
Sam, what are you doing?
Now, just a minute, honey. I gotta climb that pole.
Sam, what are you doing up there?
Well, I gotta make a call, honey. Hook up my little gadget. Now.
Hello, who's this?
Sam, this is you.
Huh? What's that?
This is you. You, Sam Yoder. Don't you recognize your own voice? This is you, Sam Yoder, calling from the 12th of July.
Look, Mac, I'm working and I'm 50 feet up.
Don't hang up. You see? It was me all the time. Here it was in the 12th of July, and I was talking to myself back in the 2nd of July, and it was the same conversation word for word.
Oh, Sam, then it was you all the time.
Uh-huh. Back in the 2nd of July, he's cussing me out just the way I did. And he'll fix this gadget up the way I just told him.
Then we still have our secrets.
Oh, sure, honey. I'll remember when I call me up tonight 10 days ago, I'm going to be very busy. And I won't want to waste time talking to myself a week and a half ago. Now, Rosie, what do you suppose I'll be doing tonight that would make me not want to waste time talking to myself 10 days ago? Rosie?
Oh, Sam, we'll have all tonight to ourselves. There's a big spectacular in compatible color with Esther Williams, and Pa will spend the whole night twisting the dials trying to get the color right. He'll be furious.
But your set is black and white.
That's why he'll be furious.
Well, how do you like the nerve of me calling me up and interrupting me at a time like that? Well, it won't take long, honey. I haven't got too much to say to myself this time. Well, that's the way it went. Rosie and I got married. Like I say, I wouldn't believe this story if I was you. Of course, what with horse races and things like that, we're doing pretty well, but that could just be good luck. But folks around this part of the country don't want to bet with me. I am the only one in the country who won a bet that Don Larson would pitch a perfect no-hit, no-run game in the World Series. You see, I had a little advance information.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Of All Possible Worlds by William Tenn, a story which demonstrates that changing the world is simple. The trick is to do it before you have a chance to undo it. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight by Transcription, X-1 has brought you Sam, This Is You, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Murray Leinster and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Larry Haynes as Sam and Pat Hosley as Rosie. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
For eerie tales that set the scene for witches' flights this Halloween, hear Sleep No More tonight.
That's your old-time radio fix for this week. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Be sure to subscribe to The Chronic Rift on iTunes or visit us frequently at chronicrift.com.
What a voice. What a voice. Simply means ink. A dink-a-doo. A dink-a-dee. Good night, folks. Signing off.
What's going on, Delia?
I want you to go to an antique shop in Bond Street and sneer at a cow creamer.
Do what at a what?
It's silver. A sort of 18th century cream jug in the shape of a cow.
Well, sounds dashed unpleasant to me.
It doesn't matter what it sounds like to you, young Bertie. Go there, ask them to show it to you, and when they do, register scorn. This will sow doubts and misgivings in their minds and make them tip the price a bit. You have one of your wonderful ideas, Jeeves.
If Mr. Wooster, while sneering, could imply that the object is probably of modern Dutch manufacture, the vendor might be the more inclined to lower his ambitions.
Why Dutch?
The Dutch, sir, while an admirable people in many ways and renowned for their domestic hygiene, are not considered to be of the first rank in matters of Argentine craftsmanship.
Well, you heard what Jeeves said. Now, run along and sneer.